Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants here. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we're going to the meet and greet that we had over at Kelly's Por Favor last week. We had a couple of brave souls step up to the plate. One of them was Jim Lee from Qulture. One was Bill MacDonald from Farmacia Mercado. And the last was actually not at the meet and greet at all, but I met Will Ferguson from Nacho Daddy. But first, before we get to that, let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 14th of January, 2019. Today, I am coming to you from way up above Puerto Vallarta. I am at the Cross. I'm at the cruise, and I am enjoying the most beautiful view. My apartment is pretty echoey, and I was thinking maybe I'd go to the beach, but, I figured I would just go up and get myself a nice hike and just see Puerto Vallarta this morning. So I hiked up, and here I am, enjoying a beautiful, beautiful view. So you're going to get a little ambient sound. You're going to hear birds. You're going to hear roosters. You might even hear people as they walk past me while I'm sitting here. So anyway, let's get on with the news, shall we? Friday, the beaches were hammered with high waves, and they swamped the sunbathers over on Los Muertos Beach. As a matter of fact, I was sitting having breakfast, I guess it was, you'd call it brunch, over at the restaurant over at Los Arcos. It's called El Pueblito or La Pueblita or whatever it is. Anyway, we were invited by a friend of my brother's who's a co-worker of his in the States, and he happens to be from Puerto Vallarta, and some of his family actually run the restaurant over there in the Playa Los Arcos Hotel. And so he thought maybe we would come and join him, and I would learn a little bit about Vallarta from a guy who grew up there. And he was shocked, and I was shocked too, to see these high, did I go into the weeds or whatever? Anyway, to see these high waves coming in. And it turns out it was a bad day for sunbathers. They got cleared right off, but things actually settled down toward the middle of the afternoon, and the red flag warnings were taken down by the evening. So anyway, bad day for sunbathers on Friday. Surfers, great day. I walked past Tino Perez's place. You know it. It's the smallest taco stand in Puerto Vallarta, El Banquito. We talked about it 2 weeks ago, I guess it is. Anyway, I saw that Tino had actually raised his prices by 5 whole pesos. So he went from 30 to 35 pesos for 3 tacos dorados de birria, which was actually not really birria. It actually is de res. It's from the steer. And along with a little consomme de pollo, little chicken soup. 35 pesos is still a great deal. It's still less than $2 US for a good meal that will definitely last you half the day, or at least it does for me. Now, it seems that the propane gas shortage is over, at least for now, and that's good news for those who want to take a warm shower, those who like to have a warm pool, and those who like to eat. Deliveries are being made once again around town. I haven't seen any places closed, no restaurants closed or anything like that, so things are definitely getting back to normal. And now there are gasoline shortages in many parts of Mexico, and actually in Jalisco as well. But according to all the cab drivers I spoke with last week, they say no gasoline shortage in town. So we'll take their word for it. Now, you guys, when you come in to bring in donations, be prepared when you're going through customs, because a couple people I know had some issues. I get a chance to meet some really, really nice people, listeners, of course, you guys, and guests, of course. And I've been in contact with a new friend of mine, Marie from Nanaimo, and Marie brought down donations for Gabino. Gabino is the pull tab purse maker. You know him. She brought down a used sewing machine of hers that she doesn't use anymore. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. How many of you guys have old used sewing machines sitting around at your house? I know that I started thinking about it, and I have 3. And so, you never know. Maybe I'll bring one down next time. Anyway, she brought down like 700 pairs of glasses for the Lions Club Recycle program. And along with the sewing machine, of course. And it wasn't the sewing machine, you guys, that gave her the problem. It was the eyeglasses that they were interested in. They wanted to know the value. And she's like, none, unless you're, in the recycle program and know what to do with these things. Anyway, she stood her ground because they wanted to charge her. Anyway, they finally let her pass because she stood her ground. And anyway, I brought an extra, suitcase full of some really nice ladies' clothes, some dresses that were donated by one of the people that I'm selling their homes for here in Los Angeles. His sister passed away, and she had some really, really nice clothes. I'm selling her house, and half of them actually still had the tag on them. And so I packed a really big suitcase to bring down to Jorge Zambrano and his Vallarta Sur Rotary Club to hand out to the poor. And I'm going to get back to that suitcase in just a minute. But as it turns out, I didn't have a problem with the customs counter with the suitcase. Although if they'd opened that up and seen all the ladies' clothes I was bringing in, they probably would think I'm a little strange. But hey, anyway, I didn't expect to get stopped for that. But I was talking with Jorge Zambrano and at Andales, and he told me that one of the ladies who brought down a suitcase with old kitchen appliances actually had an issue. They ended up charging her like $40 US at the aduana. So anyway, look out, watch out, make sure you be careful when you're filling out the customs forms, you guys. And if you don't understand it, I don't know, hire a lawyer. Okay. I got on a bus downtown when I tried to hand the bus driver 20 pesos. He waved me off. It seems like they have a coin slot that accepts pesos, or if you got a pass, you can use that. But you have to have proper change now to get on a bus. Because you drop it into a little coin slot, into a little box, and it accepts pesos, doesn't accept the bills. So anyway, I started to panic a little bit, trying to think, where do I have 10 pesos? So I sat down behind the driver and, in the old folks seat, and I started to dig around for pesos. And the lady next to me, a nice gringa, was also on the bus. She started digging around to see if she could help me out with some change. But luckily I found 10 pesos in my day pack, and I plinked it into the slot, and then the driver handed me my receipt. So the lady across from me, nice, kind lady across from me, explained to me that some of the buses don't even have the coin slots, so you still have to do it manually, and they'll give you change. And even the new ones, some of them don't have this coin slot built in. And I ran into that too. I got a little surprise. So she said sometimes the prepaid passes don't really work either. But anyway, be pre-warned. Bring enough coinage with you so that you have at least 10 pesos and so you can ride that bus. Now, we were having breakfast at a very famous restaurant. You all know it, and it's known for breakfast. So you guys figure that out if you want. And my brother noticed that there were lots of sugar ants, little itty-bitty tiny little ants crawling around on the table. And we got our coffee, and he looked in the creamer in the little stainless steel pitcher on the table, and he noticed that, there were many little sugar ants that had met their demise in the cream floating in there. So anyway, the folks at the table who liked their coffee blonde went, yuck. And they had their cups all replaced with nice fresh coffee, and then we had a nice fresh mini pitcher of cream, which appeared antless, and we continued on with breakfast. But anyway, beware, my friends. Check your cream. I promised to give you a review on the Airbnb properties that we stayed at during this trip. Now, to bring you up to snuff, for the first 6 days of the stay, we had 3 couples. There was my wife and me, and there was my twin brother Gary and his wife Jill, and my friend Jose and his wife Anne. So, anyway, we needed to find a place with 3 bedrooms and enough beds, king size preferably. Anyway, because neither Jose nor Anne do stairs very well, I needed an elevator, or very few steps. And, you know Puerto Vallarta, you guys. It's like, where aren't there stairs? There's stairs, and there's steps, and there are hills everywhere. So, anyway, the place had to be nice. It couldn't be like a little cracker box like I like to stay at, a little cheap little place. It needed to have a pool. It needed an ocean view. These are the little things that I had to tick off, It had to be nice because the ladies, my wife included, they would not abide by the kind of places that I like to stay at, I got to tell you. So anyway, we found a really nice place over in Playa Conchas Chinas, right on the water, right on the beach. The place was called Condominiums Alejandra, and I'll give you a full report next week with pictures. But for now, I'll just leave you a link to the Airbnb listing in the show notes so you can see it and check it out for yourselves. You can go to PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com, and you will find it there. It ended up costing us about $550 per couple for the 6 nights. So a great deal, a little under $100 per couple for a very beautiful property. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Then the guests left. My wife left, and my brother and his wife, and the other couple. And then I moved into an Airbnb downtown for a staggering $22 a night US. And the place is a new listing. It's bare bones, you guys, for sure, but it's got some nice touches. A little funky. I'll give you a full report on that next week as well. Because the stay isn't over yet, okay? I just begun. I'm on my 3rd night here, so. Anyway, the place is at the end of Calle Abasolo. And if you look straight down towards the Malecon, right down the street from my place, you'll see Club Mandala, about 4 blocks down. And we know that Club Mandala, and if you don't know, it is one of the 3 big loud clubs that are right next to each other on the Malecon. And they're only 4.5 blocks away and right down the street. So I was a little bit concerned that I wasn't going to be able to sleep with all the boom, 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 boom coming out of that places. Because I'm a light sleeper. I oftentimes need to have earplugs when I'm in town. But that was not the case. I haven't worn earplugs the last 2 nights, so not bad for that. Anyway, the new path to the cruise, to the cross, where I happen to be right now, it turns out is right up the street from where I am staying. So right at the top of Abasolo, it goes straight up, and it goes straight up some stairs, and then it gets on this incline, this newly built, it looks like a road, but and part of it is, you can actually drive up some of it, but anyway, it goes straight up. And then at the end, there's over 200 steps and stairs, So if you got bad knees, I'm going to tell you right now, keep that in mind. Okay. The path is made of cement. It's wide. And, well, it's really nice. There's a whole bunch of healthy-looking people walking up and down, using it for their daily exercise routine. And look if I was living here, that's exactly what I would do. It's a beautiful place. It's a great walk. And when it's strenuous. But when you get to the top, the view just can't be beat. You can't find a better view of Puerto Vallarta than right where we are right now. And so, if you want to see a whole bunch of healthy-looking people, and, that's not so bad on the eyes either, come on up. There's observation decks. There's places to sit down and relax. You can even have a picnic if you want to. And if you forgot to bring water, or if you're need some more water, if you're dying for a snack, on the weekends there's actually some enterprising Mexicans who've lugged up that stuff for you and for a price. I didn't ask how much, but I'm guessing not too bad, especially if you're thirsty. They'll sell it to you. There is even a local resident along the path up who actually opened up her little snack shop. So here we go. They're just making the best of a situation where there's a lot of people walking by, and good for her, good for them. Anyway, I'll have pictures of the trip up as well as a map. And if you'd like to take that hike up to the cross, it's pretty easy. You just start there at Mandala and you just go straight up the hill. Now, before I get to the interviews, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about those clothes that I brought for the poor folks that we feed with Jorge Zambrano over at Andales over in El Pitial. I was heading out to drop off the suitcase at Andales, and I knew this was going to happen. The lady whose place I'm staying at, she's outside the door almost all the time. So I got to tell you, it's a safe place because she's guarding that place, with her life. Anyway, she sees me leaving with a big suitcase in my hand, and she's looking at me like, "Oh no!" And now I'm looking at this lady who, by all accounts, is very poor herself. She has a young child. I'm guessing it's her grandson, who is severely disabled. He is in a wheelchair. And a mentally challenged daughter, and a son who looks like he's mentally challenged as well. And as I said, she's looking at me and she says, "Are you leaving?" I'm going, "No, honey, I'm not leaving. I'm taking these clothes to the poor." And I'm looking at her like, she's poor. I started really feeling badly, so I said, "Would you like to have a look?" And so she said, sure. She invited me into her house, which is under mine, of course. And her place, I got to say that my place is nicer. It's nicer than hers. Smaller, but nicer, Anyway, I sat down in a plastic chair in the living room and on a cement floor. And I opened up the suitcase on the floor, and she told me that the clothes weren't her size, but her daughter and some of her nieces could definitely use them. So I helped her pick out what she liked, about 10 pieces or so. And then she asked me, "Where are you taking those clothes again?" And so I explained that I was going to go take them with me when we go and feed the poor over in El Pitial. And then afterwards, we distribute the clothing to the ladies. And she said, "Okay, well, these pieces are lovely. Take the rest to PTL." So, once again, a very, very humbling experience, Now, the Airbnb actually has been a really good thing for the families that actually are struggling to make ends meet in Puerto Vallarta. I was talking to a taxista who was taking me back to Conchas Chinas over at that Airbnb, and I said, "Hey, we're staying at an Airbnb in Conchas Chinas, and then afterwards I'm going to be moving to one in town for $22 a night." And he got really excited, and he said, "My aunt lives in Versailles, and we're making a room available for rent over at her place." And he explained to me that maybe $22 US per night was cheap for me, but for his aunt, it would definitely help her make ends meet. Like 400 pesos, 450 pesos a day, he said, would really, really help her out. He told me that she had diabetes and that she was on a very tight income, could barely make ends meet. And so, as I said, this has really been very, very good for people of minimum means who actually do own property in Puerto Vallarta. Anyway, I'll give you a full review of both the places with pictures and all that good stuff. But for now, I have links that are in the show notes. So check out the links and check out the places that I am staying and that I stayed at. All right, now I'm sure there's a whole lot more to get with, but I think we ought to get on with these interviews from the meet and greet last week. As you know, I have these meet and greets whenever I come to town. I piggyback on JR's weekly meet and greets that he has over at Kelly's Por Favor Saloon and Cookhouse. These take place every Tuesday from 5:30 until 7:30 during standard time, and then it reverts to 6:30 to 8:30 during daylight savings time. But I dropped in on his meet and greet, like I do when I do come into town, and thank you very much, JR, for letting me butt in. And we gather for the podcast interviews up on the rooftop, over on the rooftop lounge over at Kelly's Por Favor. And this time we had a couple great folks. First, you're going to hear from the co-owner of Qulture with a Q, and his name is Jim Lee. So let's go right now to Lazaro Cardenas over at Kelly's Por Favor Saloon and Cookhouse to the rooftop. And let's meet Jim Lee from Qulture, Puerto Vallarta. All right, we are here with Jim Lee, and Jim is from Qulture. Jim, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you here to Puerto Vallarta?
I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I'm a native of Texan, and been coming to Puerto Vallarta for over 25 years, but I moved here 10 years ago because I knew it was exactly where I wanted to end up my life.
Uh-huh. All right.
When I got here, I realized that I couldn't end it up yet, so I needed to keep working. So many different ventures, but right now we're doing Qulture. It's Qulture with a Q, and which is a new jazz restaurant, bar, and artist co-op.
Okay, because we've talked a little bit about Qulture here. In fact, we've talked about your grand opening, which you had just recently.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And tell us about the businesses that are in that building. First of all, tell us about the building.
The building is over 60 years old, and it was originally a small hotel with a large courtyard in the center, which made it a unique opportunity for what we were trying to do, which was to have a gallery space for over 18 different artists, each having their own studio space, and then a cooperative gallery, as well as a courtyard restaurant and bar. So it worked out beautifully for that. It has also been a restaurant in the past, but primarily it was a hotel and smaller operations than what we have right now.
Okay. So tell us about the businesses that are in there, or you say there's 18 different...
We have 18 different artists. And you have to be an artist or something close to an artist to be in there. But we have people that do ceramics, that do oil work. We have people that do different types of mixed media. We have a wonderful film production studio there. But primarily it is going to be visual arts for artists that want to use it as either a studio where they work or a space where they show their work, or a combination of the two.
Okay, great. So tell us about those people that are there.
One example is Cassandra Shaw, one of our favorite people in Vallarta. She owns an incredible jewelry store, but she's also one of the most prolific painters in this town. She does a lot of commission work, particularly of animals and Fridas. She will knock out probably 6 or 7 paintings every week in our space. But she uses it just as a working space. Most of our artists feel like it's a very comfortable place to come and be. We turn jazz music on during the day. They can order food if they want to from our restaurant. And it's just a very relaxing space. So she's one example of somebody that we have there. We also have a collection of smaller artists that do jewelry and greeting cards and calendars and everything that are part of what we call the collection. And these artists are not residents of our space in terms of they don't actually have a studio, but they're able to put their work in there on a commission basis. And so we're really reaching out to a broad spectrum of not only the 18 different artists that have studios there, but artists throughout the whole city that might want to be part of it.
Wow. It sounds like it's pretty amazing. I got to get over there and take some pictures.
You should.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the restaurant.
Restaurant, of course, I've been in food service for most of my life, and I was looking to have a space that I could do a bistro style, somewhat upscale, but bistro style casual space with tapas, main courses, of course, for dinner, salads. And this evolved somewhat into very much of a bar space because we have probably the most beautiful bar in town. It's
Sure do.
Beautiful mosaics, and it's a round bar, and so it's become a meeting place. But you can also have tapas at the bar there. So we're still we've only been open for a couple of months, so we're still feeling our way through, what our crowds are going to be and when they're going to be. But right now we have a jazz brunch on Saturday and Sunday during the day where we have live jazz. We have the tapas with the bar from 4 to 6, and they have dinner service from 6 to 10:30.
Okay, and so that is and that's going to go on all the way through the season.
It is. We're going to close for about 2 weeks in August, but we're actually air conditioning the dining area of our space, and so we're very much committed to the local crowd as well, and we have a strong marketing plan towards bringing in the nationals, not only from Puerto Vallarta but from outside of the area as well.
Yeah, that's really important because if you close down, all those 18 people are going to be looking around going, what am I going to do now?
Right, exactly. Well, as well as our employees, we want to be able to have a year-round employment for all of our waiters and cooks and everything else.
Well, that's how you keep good people.
Exactly.
That's how it's done.
Exactly.
Excellent. Good. You got a great plan.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go away from Qulture just for a minute. Tell us a little. We like to ask, especially people who have been in Puerto Vallarta a long time, like you, where you like to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What are your favorite spots? So, could you give me a breakfast spot?
Well, my favorite spot is Coco's Kitchen for breakfast. I mean, I'm sort of Southern, so I love the fact that they have biscuits and gravy there, as well as an incredible menu. And the owners are very sweet and wonderful, too, and I like the space. So that's really my favorite one. A closer one to my home is in Canto, the Cabaret Theater. They actually do have a breakfast service in the morning, not all year round, but they do have that as well.
Yeah.
But those are my two favorites.
Excellent. Good.
Wait a minute. I forgot one more.
There's more.
Mi Cafe, which actually, when it comes right down to it in terms of the food, you cannot beat their smoked salmon bagels there. They're really wonderful.
Excellent. Okay. How about lunch?
I don't eat lunch a lot, but if I do, I really like River Cafe. It's a beautiful spot to just sit and relax, and that's where I have a lot of business meetings, sort of power luncheons with my other, restaurant friends. River Cafe would probably be the one, unless I'm on the beach. And if I'm on the beach, I love Swell. I like to go there and play cards and drink and have lunch. And they've got a really nice lunch, and it's a nice calming place as well. There are plenty of wonderful restaurants like La Palapa and different things, but I focus more on some of the smaller ones.
Excellent. Good. And how about dinner? Are we gonna step on on Qulture if we go to dinner?
Not at all.
All right.
I tell you, when I opened Qulture, I enlisted all of my restaurant friends in terms of their advice and their help, and many of them become my mentors actually. But I would have to say my absolute favorite in this part of the world is Bravo's. And not just because the food is great and the service is great, but Michael Buford, the owner of it, is a man beyond compare, and it's a generosity to both his customers and his employees and to his friends too.
Yes, definitely. Wow. For those, I don't think I could do any better than that. Those are great choices, Jim.
Okay.
If you were going to leave town for, just a day, where would you go?
There's so many close places here. I really like Maito, which is not too far away down south there, and just hang out there on the beach and the little hotel down there. I like that. And then if you want to go north, something like San Pancho or Sayalito, whatever. I don't do it a lot, to be honest with you. In this kind of business, you don't get to do
I know.
that
I was
a
going
lot.
to say these locals, and I talked to some locals, and I was talking actually to Alex down over at Bar La Playa. He says, I said, where would you go for a day? He goes, I think it would be Maito, but I've never been there, and I'm here. I'm from here,
Right.
So it's pretty funny how the locals and people like that don't always get out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Vallarta itself has so many places that you can go and just hang out that are wonderful, and you don't have to worry about getting there. And if you have a limited time frame, you don't want to spend all your time traveling, too. But if I do have a couple of nights or whatever, I went to Maito earlier this year, and it really was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
It's a great choice. All right, so what would you suggest to a first-time visitor that comes to Puerto Vallarta? What kind of advice would you give them? Besides coming to Qulture with a Q.
Well, of course, Qulture with a Q would be the first thing you want to do. That's a very tough question. When people come here, I think they need to research before they come exactly what it is they want to do here in terms of what type of activities they want to do, because so many people they'll book a hotel, far north or whatever, and for some people that's works perfectly fine, but they are stuck there. But if they really want to be part of what Vallarta is all about, they need to look at the center of the city. And so I would advise people to really take a hard look at what their goals are in terms of their trip here. And if their goals are to be involved in the city and to really understand what the city's about and explore that, then I would say stay in the center part of the city rather than some of the resort areas.
Good suggestion. Tell us once again where we'll find Qulture, and give us the hours again. And I imagine you're on Facebook. I know that you're there.
Yes, Qulture is on Facebook. It also has a website, which is qulturepv.com. We are open 6 days a week. We're closed on Mondays. Saturday and Sunday we open at 11 o'clock for our jazz brunch and are open all the way till 10:30 at night. Then Tuesday through Friday, we're open from 4 o'clock until 10:30 at night. And we're located in what I call the east end of Vallarta, which is a really fascinating part of the old town where a lot of new development is happening. And it's only a few blocks away from some of the more popular areas that are currently going on. And address is Veneciana Carranza 466. And you can easily find us on Google Maps.
Absolutely, and I'll have a link to all that in the show notes. I'll have a map there that'll actually take you to the front door. So check that out, and all the links to the Facebook and all the other good stuff. And Jim Lee, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. Wow, what a nice man. And what a great spot Qulture is. I have pictures, I have maps, and I have links to Qulture in the show notes at PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. So check it out. Now, the next guest was not planning to talk with me. In fact, JR just, sent him up. JR sits downstairs when we do these meet and greets, and he's my shill. And he sends people up. And he says, go up there and talk to Barry. So this gentleman, his name is Bill MacDonald, and I coaxed him into talking with me. He is a real treat. Let's go right now back to Kelly's Por Favor Saloon and Cookhouse, and let's talk with Bill MacDonald from Farmacia, Mercado, in downtown Puerto Vallarta. All right, I'm here with Bill MacDonald. Can I call you Bill MacDonald?
Surely may.
All right. Well, it says memo on your card. So what's with that?
Well, in Spanish, they find it difficult to say Bill, and Bill is short for William, and William means Guillermo in Spanish, and Memo is short for Guillermo. My wife finds it a lot easier to call me Memo.
Excellent. All right. So where are you from?
I'm originally from Nova Scotia, and I've been down here since 1982. Since then, I've been living here full time.
Wow, since 82.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you know about Puerto Vallarta before 82?
I didn't. Actually, I traveled throughout Mexico to many spots that are well known, and Puerto Vallarta was not on my list. But after I got married in '82, we came down here as part of our honeymoon. And it wasn't very long, it was 6 years later that we decided that this is where we had to be, and we have ever since.
Wow. All right. So way back then, it was a little bit different, right?
Well, as you've probably heard from anybody that's been here any length of time, more than a year or two, Vallarta is constantly in flux, constant change. It has grown so incredibly over the years. And whenever you get here, people will always say, well, you should have been here before, but only another year has to go by before you'll be saying the same thing.
All right. So when you got here, you're a young man still, so you were much younger then. What did you do when you got here?
Well, when I arrived in Guadalajara and we were married, my first idea was to work in my profession, which at that time was IT, but I found that I couldn't make enough money to pay my debts. So I was diverted into a little private enterprise, and we opened a pharmacy, and eventually we opened 2 or 3 in Guadalajara. But there's no ocean in Guadalajara. And we were visiting Puerto Vallarta over the years, and this is where we decided we wanted to be, so we moved our operations here to Puerto Vallarta.
Ah.
And we've been here ever since.
All right, so what's the name of your pharmacy?
Our pharmacy is Farmacia Mercado, or Market Drugstore, and it is across the street from the original Municipal Market in Puerto Vallarta, which is now called the Artesian Market, or sometimes called the Flea Market. And that's been our location ever since.
Wow, so you've been there since 82?
89,
89.
We opened the store here. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit about that market.
Well, the market there has morphed through the years. It was originally a municipal market that sold all the normal produce and meat and that a municipal market did, but it slowly, or rather quickly, I guess, morphed into an artesian handcraft market, and now it's almost, I would say wholly a handcraft market now, and it's referred to as the flea market.
And how about your place? Tell us a little bit about your pharmacy.
Well, our little pharmacy is across the street, and we've been servicing the community for these, 29 years. And we've often enjoyed the custom of tourists and the local people here, and we try to provide a full service.
Okay, so do you have a doctor on board there?
No.
Okay.
We're an independent pharmacy.
All right, and how about what do you see most come walking through your door?
Oh, well, I don't know if we can categorize the most, but we certainly see a variety.
Uh-huh.
It's every day is fun. We meet so many new people. Many people are here for the first time, which is always fun to give them some pointers, and we often hear comments. It's really enjoyable to hear people speak of their trips here to Puerto Vallarta. People really enjoy Puerto Vallarta.
Okay, all right. But I'm talking about, because when you walk into a pharmacy, usually you're not doing well. I mean, you're there for a reason other than, suntan lotion and maybe a pair of sunglasses, right?
Well, unfortunately, we do have people who need some help, and we try to provide what we can. A lot of people come to fill their prescriptions. Some people are there because the night before they had too much fun, and we maybe try to make them feel a little better. And there's some other medications that they maybe like to take home, and that we have that are maybe not so accessible in their hometown.
Okay. Are there anything specific? Or do you want? You don't have to go there. You don't have to go there, Bill. It's okay. All right. So let me ask you a couple quick questions. That's something I ask everybody. I want to know, what are your favorite 3 places to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Wow.
I know it's hard, right? I mean, this is because there's so many, right?
Well, there is so many, and most of them open and close before I ever get to them. It's an incredible thing.
It's a turnover, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an incredible turnover. I very rarely eat breakfast.
Oh, yeah. You are just like all of my interviewees. Nobody eats breakfast around here in Puerto Vallarta. How about lunch, all right? How about your first meal of the day? Let's go there.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I like to frequent Nacho Daddy's for their chicken soup.
Really? That's the bomb over there at Nacho Daddy is chicken soup?
Well, no, they have an extensive menu, but I am a chicken soup freak.
All right.
So,
All right. Excellent. That's a good tip.
yeah. I think they have the best in Puerto Vallarta.
Ah.
Yeah, you cannot do better than Rio Grande for their fish plates and fish food and seafood of all parts.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah. I like that place too, I got to say. Good choice.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
No. Any other places for dinner you like? Or for
Well-
your second meal of the day, Bill?
Yeah, you understand that we live here and cook at home.
I know.
We
but
have
that's
a
it.
microwave.
That's what you. That's right. There. That's it. Okay. That's the answer. That's the answer, folks. All right. When you move here, you're never going to eat out again. You're going to use your microwave.
All right. So I draw blank.
All right. Never mind. All right. No more pressure. Hey. All right. Let me ask you a couple of questions. I know you never leave town, right? You never leave town because you're working all the time. But if you were going to leave town for just a day, where would you go? You're coming back you're coming back that same day, right? You're coming back the same day. You're not spending the night. You're just getting out of town for a day.
I suppose you've heard of Tehuamixtle, and Tehuamixtle is a nice day trip, and there are other beaches to stop along the way, but the reason Tehuamixtle is the end point of a day trip is you can actually get in the water there. A lot of the beaches that you'll see in the area are beautiful, Maito, but the thing is it's open ocean and big waves. And Tehuamixtle has a little cove, a couple of little restaurants, and it's a very quaint little village. And that is a good stopping point for us. We get in the water and maybe tour a little bit afterwards and head back home, back through Toledo. And it's a good day trip.
Yeah. Excellent. You got a favorite restaurant? There's only two of them over there. Which one do you like best over there? You like Candy's?
The one on the left.
The one on the left. You know what it's called? He has no idea what it's called, you guys. I love that. Bill, I love you. All right, cool. All right, how about a 3-day? If you were going to go off for like 3 days, would you go to Guadalajara or what'd you do?
Well, a 3-day trip, well, I don't know if it would be 3 days, but it takes us a day at a slow pace to get down to Perula and stay a couple of nights there. It's another protected beach, a small town. It's south of Vallarta. Another 3-day trip up to Chapala. Again, it's only a day drive, but worth a couple of days to stay.
Right, kind of explore and all that other
Explore
stuff.
and a change of atmosphere.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. No, there's a number of places you could go from Vallarta that are readily accessible and fun to visit.
Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, so tell me what you would tell a first-time visitor. What kind of advice would you give them?
Advice for well, don't try to get it all in because you just can't. Take it at a pace. There are activities for anybody, no matter what their interests may be. You can mountain bike, you can horse ride, you can lay on the beach, you can sing and dance all night long. Puerto Vallarta has something for everybody.
We'll let him go by.
Well, that's, as I was saying, Puerto Vallarta has something for everybody, even medical services.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. All right, good. That's great advice. Don't try to do it all at once. Take it, set your pace,
you'll find something that'll meet your taste. The thing is, once you've had a taste of a variety, then you can choose something to go back to, and maybe explore to a little deeper. Whatever your interest is, there is something here to catch your attention.
Yeah, to satisfy all needs. Well,
All
most
needs.
needs. Let's not go
we
there.
hope
We
so.
want to go. Let's not
Yeah.
go too far. Tell us again about your place. Where is it? Where is it located? Are you online?
We are not online. We're very old school. We're situated across from the Municipal Market, which is known as the flea market today, on Agustin Rodriguez. It is the Farmacia Mercado, or the market drugstore, and we're there to help you in any way that we can and enjoy your visit.
Yeah. So you're open every day of the week? Or are you
We're
closed?
open from 9 o'clock till 8:30 every day of the week, with the exception of Sunday, where we close early at 4 o'clock.
Excellent. All right. Wow. Well, thanks so much for talking with me today. Thanks for, sitting down. I had to explain it to him what I do here, so I'm really glad that you did. And
Wow.
I'll come visit you.
Yes, I hope so, and thank you, Barry. It's been very pleasant to talk with you.
Bill is a character. I really like Bill. Anyway, I stopped into Farmacia Mercado, and this place is jam-packed. It's not a Farmacia like you're used to. It has everything you will ever need when you get to Vallarta. You don't have to bring a thing with you to have TSA go and look through. They've got toothbrushes of every style, every type. They got candy, all types of deodorants. I mean, your brand has got to be there. They've got shampoos. They've got water toys. They've got suntan lotion. They've got, I guess you call that stuff sunblock now, right? Not suntan lotion. Anyway, he has everything. And I'm going to post pictures of the inside of Bill's Pharmacy, as well as links to the places that he talked about. Did I say talked about? That he talked about. I'm going to have a map that'll take you right to his front door. He's right across the street from the Municipal Market. And you'll really love his place. And if you meet Bill, you'll love him too. My last interview is with someone that I actually ran into quite by accident. He did not come to the meet and greet, but his name is Will Ferguson, and I met him over at Joe Jack's Fish Shack. And Will is the money guy behind Nacho Daddy, and he's a very pleasant guy. He's knowledgeable too. And so even though I've done an interview with the folks over at Nacho Daddy, with Tammy and Sean over there, I really had to bring you this gentleman. So without any further ado, let's go over to Joe Jack's Fish Shack for a breakfast, and let's meet Will Ferguson from Nacho Daddy Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. All right, I'm here with Will, and Will is another part of our Nacho Daddy team. Is the Nacho Daddy man, I think, right? Is that right, Will?
Yo soy papi, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta here?
I'm from Albuquerque. Actually, I'm an attorney there. But I've been in the bar business, I guess, for 30 years now in Albuquerque and here in Vallarta. Nacho Daddy is our fourth bar since, I guess, in the last 20 years in Vallarta, and we're going into our 10th year.
Oh, wow. All right, so 10 years, and what was it like when you opened up 10 years ago?
Oh, 10 years ago, we opened up a place called Full of Bull right next door to the famous Archie's Wok, a tremendous Chinese restaurant with a great history here in Vallarta. And we had kind of a steak and taters operation for a while, and then we moved more into a bar venue, a entertainment venue.
Okay, and so now you even have I know we have a theater upstairs too, but that bar is is famous. I mean, it's a huge expat watering hole for one thing.
Sure.
But you guys do some great things during the week for the expat community too, don't you?
Yeah, my folks are so involved with the local charities and different groups. There's always, it's whether it's trivia night or poker night or blues night or whatever. There's always something going on, right? The people that work there are interesting people, just innately interesting people, and they end up doing interesting things. It's a joy. It's a joy to come down here.
Yeah. So when you were telling me that you came down and you did it kind of a different way than most people do. And, I was thinking Albuquerque. I mean, what kind of flights come from Albuquerque to Puerto Vallarta? And so you told me about some trip that you just took. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Albuquerque, we're very proud of it. We have exactly one international flight, and it goes twice a week from Albuquerque to Guadalajara for $120. Get on, get off, no big reservation obligation. Anyway, flying to Guadalajara, which is a beautiful city, most Americans have no idea, and you take a Class A bus, which is a fancy modern Mercedes or Volvo bus, for another $35. And for $155, you are in Vallarta after a day of very pleasant travel.
Yeah. So that trip, that ride, you're going through all these agave fields and just really, really a unique.
It is stunningly beautiful. It's like a little bit warmer Colorado. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us. Tell us a little bit about that menu over at Nacho Daddy.
That's Tex-Mex. There's, here we are in Mexico. It's kind of odd to have a Mexican restaurant, but it's Tex-Mex, and Tex-Mex food is how would you say, more caloric than real Mexican food. It's denser, it's meatier, just a richer, it's different. It's kind of the same, but it's not. A lot of green chili.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right, so let's go away from the restaurant just for a little bit. Let me ask you a couple questions that I always ask people. If you were going to leave Puerto Vallarta for a day and just get away, and you're going to come back that same day, where would you go?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Most people go north to Sailito and all that, San Pancho. It's all okay. The traffic is awful, and it has been over-discovered. Pretty soon it'll be too crowded. Nobody's going to go there. But if you go south about an hour to a village or to a town called Maito, beautiful, unspoiled coast, almost unbelievable 9-mile beach with not a dwelling to be seen. It takes your breath away. You can't believe it exists. It's that beautiful.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? I think the only thing I ever see on the beach there is every once in a while these sand dune buggies that are out there, but that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a couple little hotels at the southern end of the beach, but the rest is just empty. Just it reminds me of Namibia. That's how empty that beach is and beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So if you were going to go away for more than a day, let's say a weekend, where would you go?
Oh, I'd definitely go to Colima. There's a volcano. I'd say it depends on traffic, but it's probably a good 4 hours down south of here. And there's a volcano there that is in constant state of eruption.
Really?
A very sharp, angled, pyramid-shaped volcano with, sure enough, steam coming out the top. And it's... most people don't know there are active volcanoes around here, but there it is.
Wow. All right, so when you're in Colima, other than staring at the volcano steam coming up, what do you do?
There's a world-class, actually one of the 10 best hotels on the planet, according to Travel Magazine, Travel something. Anyway, it's San Antonio, Casa San Antonio.
Uh-huh.
And it's astonishing. It's just the gardens are like Versailles. It's a huge old stone building, immaculately maintained, an old finca, and it sits on 4,000 hectares. It's an astonishing place.
Wow. It sounds beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And Colima. In Colima.
A little upslope from Colima, yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow. All right. That's all right. So that's cool. So that's a 3-day visit there. Is that an expensive hotel to stay in?
Somewhere between shockingly and staggeringly, but it's worth it. You get your money's worth. It's just amazing.
Okay. All right. Note taken. All right. I'll have links to that in the episode, so look for that, and I'm definitely going to check that out. If you had a word of advice to a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta, what would it be?
It's always the same thing.
Okay.
Actually, it's two things. First is all this crap about crime down here is just dead wrong. Burn it in everybody's head. This place is safer than where I come from anyway. But the other thing is, don't get drunk the first night. That's the mistake everybody makes, and it kind of knocks out the next 3 days of your trip. So you get here and the place is beautiful. It smells wonderful. It sounds wonderful. And you just want to get drunk, but don't do it.
I love it. Okay, good. Well, that is absolutely great advice. Take that advice for sure. Besides Nacho Daddy, what kind of places do you like to eat when you come to Vallarta?
Well, I come here to Joe Jack's. The mark of a good restaurant is consistent service and food, and this place never disappoints. Bravo's, a couple blocks from Nacho Daddy, is a good, consistent gourmet meal. Let's see. I go to Blue Shrimp on the beach for breakfast. Get to look out over the waves and have shrimp omelet. I could go on, but
yeah, you could, because there's 800 of them, but we don't need to do that.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about Nacho Daddy. And as long as we're talking about Nacho Daddy, let's talk about where's it located, what's the address, and how do we find you? You got a Facebook page, yes?
Right. It's 415 Basilio Badillo in the Zona Romantica. That's the nice part of Vallarta. And it's on the north side of the street, and you can't miss it.
No, you can't. Well, you won't miss it, because just go to the website, you'll check out the blog page, and you will see a map that'll take you right to the front door of Nacho Daddy.
Yeah.
I was there last night watching some football. I'm sorry about the Cowboys.
Broke hearts. They're all Texans, and they broke everybody's heart.
Yes, it did. But they still kept their chins up, and it was a good time. Good time was had by all. Will, is there something I've forgotten?
Gosh. How about this? I've been coming down here for 30 years, and I'm just astonished every time I come down here how nice it is. How about that? I can't imagine somebody going back home and saying, "Oh man, it was nothing to do." It's really a treasure of a Mexican resort. Really is.
Absolutely is. And that's why I keep coming back, and that's why all of my listeners, they keep coming back too, man. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I surprised you right in the middle of your breakfast, so I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with me today and letting me introduce you to my listeners. I truly do.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right. Will, thank you so much. You were great. Wow, we have had some really great guests with fantastic voices, haven't we? Wow. Anyway, I have links to the places that we talked about, as always. And we are going to have another meet and greet coming up either next week, or maybe I'll fit it in the following week, and maybe slip in a special interview, in between. Okay, they're all special, right? But you know what I mean. We'll maybe work something in so we don't have meet and greet after meet and greet, okay? Okay, well, from the top of the world, from up above Puerto Vallarta at the cruise, that should do it for this week's episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. Stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you happen to think of something that I should be talking about, then please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him, right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you're going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, he has his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, his brand new beautiful website, and more. I have links to all of these in the show notes of this episode, so check them out. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes, if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to go and have a look there. I have links to the places that we talk about. I have interesting pictures and more right there in the blog posts and in the show notes for each episode that I create. So check them out if you haven't already. All right. Well, thank you, Will Ferguson from Nacho Daddy. Thank you, Jim Lee from Qulture, Puerto Vallarta. Make sure that you go to Qulture next time that you are down and check out the creative space that he has created there. And speaking of checking out, make sure that you stick your head into Bill MacDonald's place over at the Municipal Market across the street, Farmacia and Mercado. See what they have there. Buy your sundries, buy your medicines to take home. They're going to treat you right. And thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. From the top of the world, this is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
De Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino, perno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta.